price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Let me share this space out real quick. I'm starting a little bit later because I had to get some information ready. DJ Skills is in the room. I appreciate this. This is going to be a very educational broadcast. Let me just put something up on the Jumbotron really fast. I just posted it, and it took me a while to kind of like get it together so it can be readable for people. So let me put this on a Jumbotron. And this is, damn, I should have, you know what, I'm just tag my other video because this is going to be me pretty much piggybacking off of the space I held last night. And if you guys haven't seen that, the history of COINTELPRO, I definitely recommend you do. So I put a few things up on the Jumbotron, things that I've been posting the last couple of days. And I definitely want to home in on this subject because unfortunately, I was in a rush last night to a degree because I started a little bit late, so I wasn't able to flush out everything in the detail and as precisely as I wanted to. So now I'm taking the time today to kind of break it down a little bit, and we're going to be discussing the tactics of COINTELPRO. But before we do this, if I could ask you all for a favor, because you all know this is going to be a great space. So if I can ask you guys to share this space, send this space to somebody and share the space on your timeline so we can get a lot of people in here, because this is a conversation that definitely needs to be had, especially due to the fact that we're planning a march on DC, a march on Washington. We need to be aware of the COINTELPRO tactics so we don't fall victim to it. So if everybody can please do me the favor of sharing this space, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay. So I'm going to read, I just put this up here. I just put these up here. I put up the different versions of COINTELPRO. Now we have what I would call the three different tactics. And now, of course, you have other tactics, but these are the main ones that seem to have affected our people and got our people. Okay. You have the Raymond A. Wood tactic. Raymond A. Wood, if you guys don't know, Raymond A. Wood was a undercover FBI agent who worked alongside Malcolm X's security team, and he got Malcolm X's security team locked up on felonies, allowing Malcolm to be unprotected on the day that he was assassinated by the NYPD and FBI. So I nicknamed this is the hype man or the investigator. You guys know about the times when you would go to school and somebody would be like, oh yeah, we should do this, we should do this, and you know you're not supposed to do it, but they're hyping you up. Or when a fight starts, they're not trying to break up the fight, they're actually hyping the people up to continue to fight each other. And then when the principal comes, when the security comes, they back up into the shadow because they didn't have anything to do with it. So they're like the little hype man that instigates you to commit crimes, to commit felonies and acts that will either get you arrested or in some cases murdered. They're like that. And that's why I also use the analogy of the instigator. They're the people who instigate a lot of the incidents. They're the ones, because if you guys know the history, and that's why I say it's important for you guys, if you haven't done so already, to check out my broadcast yesterday, because there was a forgot the name. It was a bombing that the FBI had told Raymond A. Wood to tell the security team. So he was getting them hyped up on, oh yeah, we're gonna blow up. I think it was a courthouse, if I'm not mistaken. He was like, oh yeah, we're gonna blow up this courthouse, and yeah, we're gonna stick it to the man and F the pigs and all of that. So he was one of those rah hype man type dudes. And then when the security team of Malcolm X, when they went to him, and it was like, okay, yeah, I'm down with this. I want revolution. The second they got there, they got arrested on felonies. They weren't even able to do it because it was a setup from the very beginning. So these are the people that we have to be very aware of. They come in and they seem like, I'm just so radical and I care about my people so much, and they come off very illogical and radical, and they try to get everybody to be radicalized. They try to um pull on the emotions that we have, which is justifiable. We have emotions that are justifiable, but they pull on our emotions and they try to get us to do irrational things that will ultimately sabotage the progression of the movement. So that's why I have that as the Raymond A. Wood slash hype man slash instigator. Next, I feel like it's probably the most popular one, the William O'Neill, the snitch slash informant. This tactic is because William O'Neill infiltrated the Black Panther Party in the late 1960s. He wasn't an FBI agent. However, he was working with the FBI so he can get his case dismissed for Grand Theft Auto. So he was working with them, and as he was a part of the security team, no, not a coincidence, but as a part of the security team, he would gather confidential information on the Black Panther Party in Chicago, and then he would relay that back to the FBI and the Chicago Police Department. So this is what I'm talking about as far as the informant. This is when we have spaces and you often hear a mysterious person comes up in the space and says, okay guys, so what is the plan? Like, what are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna kill people, or is that what we're gonna do? Like, oh, tell me step by step the plan and where everybody's gonna be and where everybody's gonna meet at and what everybody's position is. Like, when people who come out of nowhere seem to ask a million questions about details, confidential details, and then they take those details and they relay that back to their masters, their white masters. So that is a tactic that we definitely need to be aware of. Also, too, he also sabotaged as well too. These people are now with the post I made. There was only so much room, but these people will come in and these people will start doing things like messing up the camera, leaving the doors unlocked. You know, in one of the most egregious cases, William O'Neill actually drugged Fred Hampton, which caused Fred Hampton to stay asleep the entire time when his house was being raided, and he was killed in his sleep. Now, in William O'Neill's confession, he did a confession video right before he, committed suicide. In his confession, he never admitted to drugging Fred Hampton. However, in Fred Hampton's autopsy, they found that there was drugs in his system that prevented him from waking up. So these people are very dangerous because not only will they snitch, they will also do things to sabotage to make the oppressor's job easier when they want to come in and raid the situation. And then something else that I feel like is also very important for us to be aware of, this is the Black Lives Matter also, and I slash the misinformers or the misleaders. Why I put that there is because Black Lives Matter, what they did was they piggybacked off of the righteous movement that the grassroots was already having against police brutality. So you guys know, Black Lives Matter didn't start any protests. They didn't start any rallying. That stuff was already going on prior to Black Lives Matter existing. And it's, excuse me, and especially prior to Black Lives Matter becoming a really big organization. Because to be honest, Black Lives Matter wasn't like a big organization in the very beginning. It was just a hashtag that a lot of people caught on to, including myself, because I thought this was just a hashtag and at the beginning. However, it was an organization, and what they did was they said that Black Lives Matter is pretty much the definition of anti-police brutality against Black people. So with that, a lot of Black people gave them respect and credibility. And with that respect and credibility, what they did was they pivoted the direction and focus of the movement away from police and onto, okay, well, now we have to talk about trans lives matter. Now we have to talk about Black LGBT matter. Now we have to talk about the Black women matter. Now we have to talk about this, and now we have to talk about that. And they pivoted the direction of the movement to anything else besides police brutality. They kind of toned down on the police brutality, which was what the original agenda of the goal was supposed to be. That was supposed to be the original agenda. However, they were sent to us. They were sent to us because nobody knew who they were beforehand. It's not like they were well-known activists beforehand. They were sent to us to mislead, and then they bought up information. Well, you know what we need? We need more trans representation at the protest because they get oppressed by the quote-unquote cis het black man, and he's really the white man of the black community. So that is the misinformation and sowing the seeds of confusion and misleading off of the subject that we have people doing. They were talking about, the white supremacist system, how we need to fight against the white supremacist system. And then a couple years ago, they were talking about how everybody needs to register to vote for Joe Biden. Everybody needs to vote for the Democrats. So they're a Democratic shield because they were owned by white people. Black Lives Matter was funded and paid for by white people with black figureheads in the beginning for the sole purpose of joining the movement and then misleading the people in the movement. So these are the tactics that we have to be very aware of so we don't fall victim to it again. Fortunately, a lot of people are aware of the William O'Neill because I feel like that's the most popular and um, dare I say, the most notorious incident of COINTELPRO. However, he was not the only informant in the Black Panther Party. You also had many other informants in the Black Panther Party. Also, I want to move on to the second Jumbotron too, where I also break down, and I said this all in the broadcast yesterday. I broke down, this is the letter that they sent to Dr. King on one post. It was the letter that they sent to Dr. King trying to convince him to commit suicide because they have quote unquote tapes, according to them, of Dr. King having orgies and adulterous acts. And the second it gets released to the public, nobody's going to follow him. Everybody's going to see him as a fraud. And his whole life and reputation is going to be completely destroyed. So he might as well commit suicide. And this, if you look at the letter, or the note, whatever the case may be, if you look at that, it is posed as this is being written from a black person. A black person wrote this letter. So this is another tactic of COINTELPRO where they will have white people do things and they'll disguise the white people as black people. So there's people on here, and I'm gonna say names, black again, who nobody has ever seen before. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody's even 100% sure if this is a full black man. So you have white men who disguise as black people, and then they say things to kind of sow seeds of division and confusion among black people. They'll create a fake profile and they'll be all like, well, see, this is the reason why I, as a black man, hate black women. And that can start up a little gender war in black society. Or they'll say things like, oh, I'm a black LGBT person and I've always been oppressed by the rest of the black community. And then that starts up infighting among the group. So we have to be very aware of the infighting that is instigated oftentimes by people who are not even black. Also, too, I have the note that Raymond A. Wood wrote, the confession note that Raymond A. Wood wrote after or while he was sick, as he knew he was about to die soon. So he wrote a confession letter saying that, confessing to the fact that he actually was a part of the assassination of Malcolm X. He was there present during the time of Malcolm X. Um, he was the one who informed the FBI, or he was the one to, he did inform the FBI and the New York Police Department. However, he was the one who got them locked up on charges. All of that is in his confession. So I have that as well, too. So these are very important tactics that we need to make sure we know we know to the T, so we don't fall for any twisted version of these tactics. And with that being said, if anybody would like to come up and speak, I appreciate that. If you guys wouldn't mind, I would appreciate you guys sharing the space as well too. And also, you guys can go to the YouTube channel. It's in the jumbotron. The link to the video is in the jumbotron, but when you go to the link to the video, you can subscribe to the channel as well. Jay the informant, you can go ahead. It's interesting. We're talking about informants.
Yeah, what's going on, bro? I think I accidentally requested to speak, man. That's my fault, bro.
Okay. All right then. All right. Got you. Got you. Well, let me see. I don't know why my phone is acting kind of slow. But okay, we have some more people to speak. If you would like to speak about some of the tactics of COINTELPRO that you recognize, or something that I might not have explained in enough detail, something that you would want to add to the conversation, you guys can feel free to do so. I also would greatly appreciate if you guys share this space too, because I feel like when it comes to topics like this is something everybody needs to be fully aware of. Now, let me see. B1 Badass, you can unmute yourself. We got times.
Peace to everybody in the room. I want to ask a quick question, and I hope I'm not going way too off the topic, but you are talking about COINTELPRO tactics. So we have a FBA March coming up, and what I really didn't understand is for this FBA March, or what he originally said was a reparations rally. The first thing we did was start bringing up people who aren't really credible, like RZA. I'm not saying they're not credible in their own perspective work in fighting against vaccines and shit, but on the grassroots here in LA, RZA Islam, 19 Keys, and Wesley Muhammad, they're great speakers, but when have we heard them talk about reparations? So I'm trying to think, what kind of march are we going to be doing here? I know this might be a little off topic because we're going back talking about the Panther Party and stuff like that, but I just, when I see some bullshit, I just want to really like kind of call it, because I've never heard these people speak of reparations. Do you have any? You're from Chicago, aren't you, Afro Elite?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the Nation of Islam in 2022? And this is a topic that Tariq doesn't really go into, because I know he's probably in cahoots with them. I don't know. I actually go to this Church of Scientology over here with the Nation of Islam in Los Angeles. So I'm playing the scenes on the radar, and I'm looking like, what the hell is going on? There's not a lot of
tribalism.
Okay, let me answer his question. I feel as if Tariq wants to cover multiple subjects. I feel like that's probably why he's inviting people, because to my knowledge, I've never really heard RZA Islam advocate for reparations as well too. But these are great speakers, and there's a lot of other things that we can also be advocating for, not only reparations. I feel like this can be like like we can multitask to a degree on that. So that's why I feel like he's inviting other people, because you do need multiple types of speakers to address certain issues. Plus, we're also going there to advocate for a anti-black hate crime law for protection status. So I feel like that might be the idea of inviting them as well too. As far as my relationship with the Nation, of course, the Nation is here in Chicago. I'm not a part of the Nation, although I feel like I have a decent relationship with the Nation. I've never had any issues with them. Now, like I said, I'm not a part of it. There's certain things that um, they advocate for and I advocate for, and then we might kind of differ on some things, which is fine. That's fine as long as it's in a respectful way. But I don't have any issue with the Nation in Chicago. I haven't had any. I've seen a lot of people in the Nation. They have done things to help the people of Chicago. So I'm not going to completely discredit them here. I'm not sure what Los Angeles is looking like, but out here in Chicago, I don't really see them as being
Afro Elite.
problematic.
Can I ask you this?
Can I respond?
Hold on. Let's was that your question, B1? Because I want to get to
I just wanted to
Line.
No,
respond to
it's
that really
not
quick.
B1. It's
I
not
just wanted to
B1
respond to
all
that
the
really quick.
time. Can I
Okay, well, hold on,
legibly
hold on,
ask you this question?
hold on. You can ask me the question. Just, I mean, we got to respect the hand. So, what was
Hmm.
your question, real quick?
What have they done? Longevity.
Well, I wasn't ask. I was asking B1 Badass. What was your question? And I'll get
Oh,
to your
okay,
question.
yeah. I wasn't.
I
I
know
didn't
you
have a
weren't.
question. All right. I was trying to respond to what you were trying to say. I'm not. I wasn't here trying to. I'm not trying to sow any division. I'm on code. I respect the Nation of Islam and I respect what they're doing in their perspectives on certain things. But as far as reparations, we need to realize, because I hear a lot of doublespeak within new black media. You know, there's a lot of people on the grassroots really don't respect the Nation of Islam. Keep it real with you, especially here in Los Angeles. Like, there's a lot of people who have a problem with those guys, and not on any religious basis. It's just from a fact of, you'll get somebody on a black empowerment code, and then you get them at the Church of Scientology, and you're trying to stir them in another direction. So that's the thing. But like I said, I'm not trying to stir any confusion or anything. I'm just saying Farrakhan isn't foundational Black American, number one, and he's had 3 speeches about reparations, and his stance on reparations, in the beginning it sounds like he's talking for us, but it goes into, well, what does America owe the Latinos, and what do they owe the Native Americans, just like everybody else. So you need to look up reparations and what does America owe.
If you're going to say that
Speech
about
by Minister Louis
Farrakhan,
Farrakhan.
post it.
Excuse me.
Hold on. Let's Okay, B1 Badass. I am unaware of some of the quotes that you're giving to Farrakhan, so I will look that up.
That was the
Like I
speech.
said, I've never really heard, and I know to a degree they've brought it up, but I've never really heard the nation advocate for reparations like that. So that's why I'm assuming that Tariq is inviting them for another reason, because they can advocate for maybe the anti-black hate crime bill that we're looking for. So I assume that was his purpose, or other things
Yes,
as
sir.
well too. But as far as me, I'm not like a part of the nation. I'm not like the best friends with the nation. But when I see them, it's I know some people from the nation, so it's respect. I can respect their beliefs and what they do. So it's kind of like that.
Yes, sir.
Um, Black Lioness, you can go ahead.
B1 to the family. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm out getting this money, getting to it,
Yes,
driving.
man, we can hear you. Make that
Alrighty,
money.
alrighty. First of all, just to touch on the nation one time, about, I'm 31, so about a good 15, 17 years ago, I remember reading an article that um, Muammar Gaddafi actually was trying to give billions to the nation to help black people, but the U.S. government stopped it. Going all the way back to Muhammad Fard, who actually started the nation up in New York, that helped father Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X parents actually was trying to help with the black community, but the United States government, of course, got down on them too. So they basically been prevented in so many ways to help us, to the point that as time has went on, whoever just becomes the next leader probably don't even push to try it because they know the history behind it. Now to your topic about COINTELPRO, it's funny because I've been hearing, and I'm from Chicago as well, so I've been hearing these this thing going around where Chicago Police Department officers are deliberately putting on these real life mags that look like black people and going around doing all of the murders and all of the shootings and drive-bys, and they're steady trying to blame it like on black crime, or it's gang violence and things like that, when in reality it's them. Now I believe it was Tariq who had a space a little while back, and another sister, she said she was from Chicago and she was from the hundreds as well, or she was up in that area somewhere, and she seen a drive-by shooting take place. When she looked in the vehicle, she seen a black face but when she looked down, she seen white hands. So they are deliberately trying take us out any way, shape, form, or fashion, and then blame us for it. Which, in reality, like I said, I'm from there. I'm from the gutters part, west side, where it gets nasty at times. I don't deliberately believe that everybody's just going out there just killing and shooting up everything every day. Like, we got to take a day off. We got to chill, relax, recuperate, something. So I don't deliberately believe that, black people are out here deliberately killing each other like that. Like I said, um, I seen a video as well with a young guy. He was black as well, and he stated it as well that how they are putting on these black masks, and it looks so real. You would think it's a real individual until you get up on the vehicle or actually pay attention, and you realize it's actually a white person or a white police officer. Um, Doing these crimes. So yeah, I
Let-
just wanted to put that out there and let you guys know, no matter what city, state you're in, you need to be on the lookout before they try to hit you guys with the um, black on black crime or brown on brown crime, whatever they want to
Now,
call it. It
before
could
you
be.
go,
Uh huh.
let me ask you a question. Now, you said you're in the west side of Chicago, right?
Yep.
Do you see um a heavy police presence there? Do you see like there's police patrolling all the time? There's like a police cruiser on every other block. There's always police around the area.
Depending on the location, like around Madison and Springfield, they're always there because drugs and it gets popping right there, whatever. So they're always right there. But towards like, where I live, around like Laverne, Laramie, and those areas, it's not so much until we start to gather and enjoy ourselves. It seems like once we decide to come outside and have a barbecue or have a little celebration where we're on the block and we're, linking up to enjoy ourselves, where there is no drama, the drama starts once the police presence arrives. It's like someone ride past and call 911 and say it's a bunch of niggas on the corner, and before you know it, the whole district done showed up on that one block. So it
No,
depends. Go
now
ahead.
I asked you that to say because for those of you guys who haven't been to Chicago, most of the black people in Chicago either stay on the west side or the south side. That's where most of black people stay. And I can tell you, oftentimes, especially during the summer when people are outside, and there are a lot of police presence there from what I've seen personally. There's police. I've been, both on the south side and the west side, especially in the higher crime ridden areas. There's always a police somewhere nearby. The police are never far. What they like to portray it as is, oh my God, the crime in Chicago is just overwhelming for the police. But let me ask you, does it make sense for, as you say, now when there's black people outside, there's a heavy police presence. So if there's a heavy police presence every time there's black people outside, how does it make sense for 100 people to get shot in one weekend and nobody's arrested for it? 100 people to get shot and the police know absolutely nothing. However, every time there's a heavy presence of black people in one area, police are always around. They're right around the corner every time there's a bunch of black people gathered in one spot, but yet dozens of people can get shot and killed in one weekend, and the police have no suspects at all. And I'm asking you that because you're from Chicago as well too. Don't you find that suspicious? Don't you think that that's a little odd?
I find that very suspicious. I find it actually disturbing because
You kind of broke a little bit. I know she said
you
she
hear me
agreed.
now.
She find yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I find it disturbing because when you look at it, and some crimes do happen, the police is 9 times out of 10 sitting right there watching it play out. Now they're out there trying to throw this narrative out now that they're afraid to get involved when a shootout or something occurs because they don't want to risk their life. But I thought that was what they were getting paid. I was paying them to do. Okay. Secondly, like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's them that's committing the crime. That's why they don't have any suspects. That's why they can't solve the crime or solve the murder, because it was one of them that actually committed it. So, it's really disturbing. Where, just one moment, I'm trying to get somewhere where I have a little better connection. Where exactly what's going on, and I think they have a little.
You're breaking up kind of. You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I said I was trying to get somewhere where I had a little better connection. Um, like I said, I feel that they are, like I said, deliberately causing this. Just like with the young guy about a month ago, his name was Cash. He's a rapper or whatever. He was killed on the south side one early morning at 5 a.m. Well, apparently the police was sitting right there when it happened. Um, I don't know if they solved that case yet or whatever due to all the information that's going around about it, but the police was sitting right there when it happened. And their script was, oh, we was afraid to get involved because bullets was just flying. So it's pretty sad that that is the case of what's going on. You have all these police out there on the street. They could come and attack us the minute that we get in a gathering to celebrate something, but as soon as a crime or murder happen or anything like that, they're nowhere to be found, or they're sitting on the next block observing it. So I'm not gonna hold you guys any longer because, like I said, I'm out here driving. Signal is shaky, but I just wanted to let you guys know this. This is what's going on in the city of Chicago, and you guys be one, and you guys have a good evening.
Be one, sister. Be safe out there.
Thank you, brother.
Thoughts. You can unmute yourself.
Hey, salute to you, Afro Elite. You're a good brother. I've been listening to you for a minute, but let me just say this real quick. I've been noticing people within our community taking shots at the Nation of Islam. Now, I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a religious person or nothing like that. But what I will say is a group like the Nation of Islam, who have produced a Malcolm X, a Khalid Muhammad, to any of you in this room, including those listeners who are in that section right there, who are criticizing the Nation of Islam. Let me ask you this question. Have you personally, or whatever group you represented, have you gone to the Nation of Islam yourself and asked these questions and tried to create a dialogue, a conversation to move this thing forward? Because I've noticed that some people who have been questioning the Nation of Islam get on these spaces and talk, oh, what have they been doing? Oh, what, like on some, and excuse me for saying this, you sound like a bunch of bitches. And here's why I say that. Because if you were really about that, I would think you would go to your nearest mosque and go to the leaders of that mosque and create a real conversation, a real dialogue about how you can come together and solve this problem versus getting on spaces talking about, well, they ain't do nothing. That sound like some bitch shit to me. So any of you in here, and keep in mind, I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a religious person. I don't represent the Nation of Islam. But if you're going to criticize the nation, I'm asking you, are you going to the nation and creating a real dialogue and coming together with your people inside the nation to try to move this conversation forward? You motherfuckers look suspect. And I'll mute and I'll listen.
May I respond to that?
Yeah, before you do, the other lady who was here, I was gonna answer her question, even though I'm not like a representative of the nation, but she left before I did. I didn't kick her out, so you guys know. But yeah, you can respond to it.
Okay. If he listened to what I said, because he's obviously talking to me, if he listened to what I said, I didn't say anything about what the nation is doing. All I said is those people who Tariq Nasheed mentioned do not talk about reparations. There's certain factors that the Nation of Islam that I can agree with, but for the most part, if you want to be honest with you, I do go to the Church of Scientology, like you heard me say. It's on Vermont and 87th over here in Los Angeles. Their old building used to be on 88th in Vermont. Okay, their actual mosque. They gave their mosque up because they're in the Church of Scientology. I went there. I go there almost every Sunday. I do have dialogues with Minister Malik Saeed Muhammad. Okay, so you're saying that you're not a part of the Nation of Islam, but it seems like when it comes to the Nation of Islam, there's this don't say nothing about them. But we can talk about the Urban League. We can talk about all of these other organizations, but don't say nothing about the Nation of Islam. No, goddamn it, we're gonna talk about these people.
You get those brothers in the same space where you are, and you create that conversation.
Hey, let them
when they're not here.
Hold on. Let's let him land his plane. Because this is a conversation that probably does need to happen, because I don't know, oftentimes I've been in spaces and people are like, well, what do you think about the nation? What do you think about the nation? And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not a spokesman for the nation. I don't know why I'm being asked these questions. I mean, I do understand that there's, a heavy presence of the nation in Chicago. So I guess I understand that. But I kind of do want to get this question out of the way. So land your plane, B1, and then I have something I wanted to add instead.
So I didn't I like I said, I didn't give my opinion on the Nation of Islam. All I mentioned is about them talking about reparations. I said Rizal Islam talks about vaccines and other great things. I didn't talk shit about the nation or anything. If this space is recorded, I'm pretty sure it is. You're not going to hear me saying anything. All I said is that if you listen to a speech, there's actually a few of them over the years at their final call building. It's called Reparations and What Does America Owe? I said Farrakhan's, matter of fact, he's Caribbean, by the way, his stance on reparations in the beginning, it sounds right for us, but he went on into what are we going to do for the Native Americans and we're going to do for this. I hear a lot of people give respect. I hear a lot of people give a lot of claims of fame to the Million Man March, which was a beautiful thing. But if you listen to the Million Man March, it sounds more like a Dr. King speech and not like a speech from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I go to this mosque all the time, so I don't need you trying to check nobody. I didn't give my opinion on anything. I didn't. I have Rizal Islam in my phone. We're both from the same neighborhood in Compton, in Richland Farms. Okay? So,
but if you're going to speak on the nation, have him here while you are speaking on the nation.
Why do I need to? There's probably people in the nation that's in the room. I don't need to.
Does it sound like some sucker shit? That's all I'm talking about.
Okay, y'all. Okay. Let me address this real quick. B1 has clearly said that B1 Badass has clearly said that he has had conversations with the nation, and let's just be totally honest. There's nobody who it's unquestionable. Everybody has the right to ask questions if they want to know the answers to certain things. Now, I am not a part of the nation. I do not represent the Nation of Islam. I'm not a spokesman for the Nation of Islam. So when it comes to questions for the nation, I don't feel like I'm the appropriate person to ask that question to, because I don't want to misrepresent or seem as if I'm the representative of something that I'm not a part of. So you can ask me my opinion of the nation, and I can give you my opinion of it or my thoughts of the nation, or individuals in the nation. However, when you're asking me, well, what has the nation done? What has the nation done? Well, you're asking, and I'm not saying you asked that. There was the other sister who asked that before she left. I'm not the right person to ask what the nation has done or what is the agenda of the nation and all of these questions, details about the nation. I can just give my opinion, but I can't give you details. And even if I could, I don't feel like I would be the appropriate person to give you details, because I'm not a part of the nation. So I shouldn't be speaking as if I'm a representative or a spokesman for the nation. So I feel like
Brother Elite, just this real quick thing. Now, when you look at Farrakhan, let me just say again, I am not a Muslim. I'm not a religious person or a part of the Nation of Islam. But if you look at the fact that Farrakhan, who used to be allowed on news stations, CNN, BBC, and all of that, the fact that he's been banned for a reason. Now, I'm not saying no one's perfect. I'm not saying that no one shouldn't be criticized or questioned. But when I hear black folks, go after the nation in a way where you're suggesting that they're sitting back, not saying nothing, or not looking out for the best interests of black people, my question to anybody who has that view is, if you're going to criticize the Nation of Islam, their purpose and their part in this whole situation, get a spokesperson on and have that dialogue instead of saying, like for example, if this was a family situation where we were trying to solve a family problem, I'm not going to sit back and go to one family member and talk crazy about my cousin. If anything, I'm going to get my cousin in the room and I'm going to say, hey, cuz, this is what we got going on. And this is where we want to go with it. So together, what is your perception or suggestion in what we're trying to do? But to be on the outside of that and to say, well, what is the nation doing? Or what is cuz doing? Without cuz being here, something about that just don't sit right with me. You know what I'm saying? And I apologize to the brothers if I came across offensive. I do apologize. But any elder or any leader or any revolutionary that put their life on the line or put their revolution or put their reputation on the line for black people, I question anybody coming at them in a certain way. And I apologize if I came across the wrong way.
I'll land in a certain way. You're getting emotional talking about it.
Hold on.
Nah, nigga, like,
let me address that. Let me address that real quick. I feel like that is the proper way to handle issues. That's the proper way to handle issues. If you have a question directly for the nation, then you should go to the nation. You should go to the nation. If you have a question for Reza Islam, you should go to Reza. If you have a question for 19 Keys, you should go to him. And likewise. However, I feel as if B1 Badass was just asking my opinion of them being in. I don't think he was like questioning them. I think it was the other sister who was like, what have they done? Well, what she kind of said that and said something else, I forgot. But she said, well, what have they done? Implying that the nation hasn't done anything. And then that kind of makes it seem as if because B1 initiated the question, it seems as if maybe that was his stance. I don't believe that was his stance. I believe his stance was just asking me a question about the march because I brought it up. That's my
my apologies, brother. But any revolutionary group who has a history of going at the source of our oppression, I kind of side eye anybody questioning certain things out of context. But I do apologize to B1, brother. So I'll leave that there.
Okay, it's all love. It's all love. Everything's good. Black Lioness, you can go ahead.
Just touching what the brother's talking about there. Farrakhan he's like the two-sided head coin where he done did dirt and then he done tried to be redeemed, and that's fine and all. I ain't got no objections to him and his work, because like the brother Thought said, he has been shadow banned, he has been targeted. I believe the last Savior speech, because I do tune in to all of them, not the one this year, but the one last year, he even spoke about how they have poisoned him. They have tried assassination attempts on him, numerous things, because just the simple fact that he is the voice of a lot of communities. A lot of communities do take what he say to head. That's just not locally. That's internationally. This man is a savior internationally to a lot of different communities because he understood the effects that not only the black people, felt. We know white supremacy is global. So if it's targeting us, even though we was not the first ones, they did it to themselves first, and then they came and practiced it on other people. So we know that a lot of other groups have been oppressed due to the globalization of white supremacy, and I believe that's what Brother Farrakhan speaks on. He knows, some boundaries that he cannot cross because of the United States government and their attempt to go ahead and eliminate him and get him out the way. We have seen that with all of our great leaders, whether if it was Garvey to Martin Luther King Jr. Like, we have seen what they have done to any individual who decided to speak up for us, for the people in mass. So, no, we're not taking away anything that those brothers in that movement have done, but because before it is what it was now, it was officially all black. And like I said, it started in New York. It was all black. Whatever the black people needed, the nation was there supplying it. It wasn't until, it got infiltrated, here and there where, the message started to get a little blurred. But for the most part, the nation has been and was created for the people and to serve the people. And like I said, that man is recognized internationally as a leader. So them shutting him down on news stations and things like that, it shouldn't even been a surprise to us. We should have known that it was coming because we can only talk so much before they tell us, nah, nigga, you're talking too much. You see what I'm saying? Right there is revolutionary because it calls uprising within the people. It calls people to think and question the world that they living in. So no, we're not going to take away nothing that those people have done because it have paved the way for something. And like Brother Afro Elite keeps saying, maybe another time we can have a space about this where we can have some members of the nation come up and speak. But for the most part, you can't throw that on Brother Afro because, like he just said, he's not a part of the nation. He's not affiliated with that. He can only voice his opinion. And that's all that we can do as well. I'm not a member of the nation, but I do practice some of the teachings because some of the teachings are beneficial to survival. And if you don't believe it, just read the book from the Honorable Muhammad Fard, Eat to Live. When in that book he speaks about the system of white supremacy globally and just the things that they have been doing and them trying to correct it, in many ways that they can. Now that's only one group, that's only one organization. Um, we can't hold them accountable for everything. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Afro Elite. Hopefully we can bump heads. I definitely plan on going to that march. I'm bringing my son because I want him to understand what's going on. He's a 12-year-old boy, but he's black first, so I need him to understand what's going on. So you might just see us in attendance.
I hope to see you there. I really do. Be one badass, and thank you, sister, for that. Thank you, sister, for that. Be one badass. You can make um your last retort before we move on because the topic of the room is actually Cointelpro, and I feel like we got really derailed. But I don't want people to act you to leave and feel like people got to speak on your name. So you can, I guess, defend yourself in your final statement, and then we'll move on.
Right. Thank you, Afro Elite, for the space, and I apologize for taking us off topic. But I wanted to go ahead and address what dear brother Thought said about, you look at somebody's side eye. Listen, we can sit in these spaces and we can talk about Roland Martin. We can talk about Clarence Thomas. We're not going to have none of them or their representatives present. So when we speak about enough of us do know about the Nation of Islam very thoroughly. I processed through the Nation of Islam. I know about it very thoroughly. It was started in Detroit, by the way, not New York. The leader's name was Master Farad Muhammad. Okay. Now, when he said he looks at me side eye, well, let me tell you what I look at side eye. What I look at side eye is anybody who knows the history of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan. I look at you side eyed if you're gonna still stand with that organization wholeheartedly, and you're talking as if you're a representative of that nation. You're not talking as of a person who's acting like they're, oh, I'm in the middle, I don't know what's going on. I'm not telling you to take a side, but if you know certain histories, if you know that the Nation of Islam was funded by H.L. Hunt.
Well, and this is why we'll put a pin in this conversation, and we'll move on when we have a person who is actually affiliated with the nation, because I'm not affiliated, and I don't think any speaker here is affiliated. Thoughts has said he's not affiliated, so we're going to move on with the topic of the room from now on, with all due respect to everybody here. So does anybody have any comment they would like to speak on the tactics of COINTELPRO?
Real quick to the topic of COINTELPRO. Just a overall general statement.
You're starting to break up a little bit. I don't know if you're moving or you got Bluetooth or whatever the case may be, but yeah, you were kind of choppy.
You hear me clear now?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to say, when it comes to COINTELPRO and the different Black organizations or the Black First organizations who speak against the system of white supremacy, while we can have in-house discussions on what the family is doing, whether it's the Nation of Islam, the Hebrew Israelites, or anybody who represents or claims to represent Black First, I'm not against us having the discussion on where we stand, but in open spaces to, in a way, come across as if we're discrediting or anything like that against any groups who have been attacked by the government, who have been silenced by the government. I think we need to be careful with that, because when Black people go against Black people in these situations, we gotta be very careful. Now, to the brother B1 Badass, I do apologize if I came across in the wrong way, because I'm not going to sit up here and claim that you're coming in here in bad faith. But I just think we all, including myself, need to be careful how we come at each other. We need to critique each other family-wise, but we just need to be a little more sharper with that. And I'll land with that. Salute to you, Afro Elite, and everybody in the room. I'll land there.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any tactic to speak of COINTELPRO, the tactics of COINTELPRO? If not, then I can continue giving the details of COINTELPRO. But is anybody right here in the audience or on the speakers board, does anybody have anything they would like to say on COINTELPRO specifically? Okay, all right then. Okay. So, like I'm reiterating for the people who are just coming in the room, and a big B1 salute to everybody in the room. It is very important for us to recognize these tactics. And this is why I say it's important for us to learn history, not learn history so we can fantasize over history. And that's a bad tactic that unfortunately too many Black people do too often, where we learn history just so we can fantasize over, wow, this is amazing, and look at what happened. We learn history so we can know the directions to move forward, the things to do and the things not to do. Unfortunately, brothers who fell for the tactics of COINTELPRO did not have an example to learn from. You had people in the Black Panther Party, and there was a point in time in the Black Panther Party, and you all know how much I respect the Black Panther Party, but you had members in the Black Panther Party who was like, hey, the Black Panther Party is really for everybody. Anybody can join the Black Panther Party. You don't even have to be black. You can join the Black Panther Party and be an Asian, be a white person, be a this or that. So you had everybody in there. And when they allowed everybody to join the Black Panther Party, you open the door for informants and COINTELPRO agents to be among your midst and sabotage the Black Panther Party from the inside out. Something else that I meant to speak on last night when I did my broadcast was an agent by the name of Richard Okia. I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. It's Okia or Okia. Richard Okia was an FBI informant, and he was an Asian FBI informant for the Black Panther Party. Now, I think I spoke on him in one of my videos I did about the false propaganda of Asian hate that was going around a year ago. But Richard Okia was an informant that the Black Panther Party let in, and they allowed him to join the mist, so he was able to relay information back to law enforcement, back to the FBI and the local police department, and he was able to sabotage from the inside. And I point this out when anytime somebody says, well, what we need is a black and brown or black and Asian or minority coalition. I was getting that a lot from the Asians last year. And every time I brought up Richard Okia, they would go away. They didn't want to speak on Richard Okia because a lot of the times the Asians have been in and they've sabotaged our movements. Black people have been in and they've helped their movements, but a lot of times they sabotage, which is why I am very, very weary of any non-black person who even says they want to help, to be honest. Any non-black person who says they want to help, as much as there are individuals who may honestly want to help, but I'm very weary of that because I know most of the time when individuals come up, when non-black individuals especially, when they come up in the movements, whatever movement or organization the case is, but when they come up, they're coming up to do one of the three tactics of COINTELPRO, which is either to instigate, which is the Raymond A. Wood, to instigate, what I said, instigate, or to be the hype man. They're either coming in to do the William O'Neill tactic, which is to snitch and to be an informant, or they're coming in to do the Black Lives Matter tactic, which is to mislead and misinform people and pivot the direction of the movement away from white supremacy. And that is the main tactics that all of these non-black people come into our movements for. You guys have seen me do multiple spaces where we have a white person or a non-black person come into the space and they say, yeah, I agree, white privilege is bad and all this and yada yada. But I feel like it's really not as much of a race thing as if it's a class thing. It's really the 1% ruling everybody. Everybody's oppressed if you really think about it. Or they come in and they say, well, yeah, and the black and brown and bringing all these other groups into our midst. So I'm very weary of that because more than likely, 9 times out of 10, that is the agenda prior to them coming into the room, especially prior to them becoming the speaker. Either that, and when I also, to dive a little bit more into detail of the Black Lives Matter tactic, we also have to be aware of the misinformants, because those are very deceptive tactics of COINTELPRO that oftentimes get overlooked. When we entertain people or when we give credibility to people who are there for the sole purpose of misdirection and misinformation, that's a tactic of COINTELPRO that we can't entertain, because you do have people, unfortunately, who are just naive enough to listen to any and everybody, despite their lack of credibility. So when people come up here and then when people say things like, oh, well, yeah, I agree with reparations, but what we really need is we really need the black LGBT representation because the black LGBT has been underrepresented, or the black trans, they've been underrepresented. Oh, well, what we need to do is this. And when they steered the direction, you got people caping for the Confederate flags now. I'm not going to say any names, but certain individuals I've seen do that, and say, oh, well, we really came up with this. Certain individuals also come up and say, well, you know what? I agree with everything you're saying about Joe Biden, man. Joe Biden is a terrible president. Joe Biden is a racist. He's done this and this against black people. And this is why I am a proud Republican who is a Donald Trump loyalist, and I worship and praise the Donald Trump 2024 flag. So those are people who come in with misinformation. They come in with the correct information to get in the room. They'll come in saying stuff about Joe Biden that we all agree with, and then they'll pivot the direction to, you see, this is why we got to vote for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump he's really not that bad if you really think about it. I don't even really think Donald Trump's a racist, honestly. I've had people come into my spaces like that too, and vice versa. You'll have people come in like, man, the Republicans, they're doing this and this, and that stuff will be correct in the beginning, and then they'll say, well, see, that's why we gotta vote blue. I also want to bring up um, ADOS, Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. You can argue that they've used COINTELPRO tactics, because they initially came in, we gave them credibility and respect because they were speaking on behalf of us getting reparations, the descendants of slaves, foundational black Americans getting reparations. And then you started to see a pivot in the direction of where they were going. They started in talking about politicians ain't gonna really do anything for us, and we got to be about reparations. Okay, cool. Everybody here agrees that, hey, we need reparations. The government owes us reparations. And then next thing you know, they're talking about, okay, well, we're not doing this on a cultural, we're doing this on a political level. And then that had people scratching their heads. And then next thing you know, the next step was, see, what we really got to do is we really got to vote blue down ballot. That's the solution. We can't really vote it. We can't really beat the Republicans, but if we vote blue down ballot, we're going to win in the long run. That's a tactic of COINTELPRO, when you put yourself in a position as if you're an organizer or someone who relays information across the audience or the group, and then you use your position to mislead people and to pivot away from the original topic or the original reason you were there in that position in the first place. So we have to be aware of that. We have to very much so be aware of that. All of the ADOSs, all of the Black Lives Matter, all of these new organizations that come up out of the blue, nobody's ever heard of them. Nobody knows what they do. Nobody knows where they're from or who their leaders are, but they come as if they're the representation of black people or the representatives of black people, and they're advocating for black people. And what they say might be good in the beginning. Yeah, we need police to be accountable for all of the murders and all of this and that, and everything's all good in the beginning, and then next thing you know, yeah, and that's why we need everybody to get vaccinated. And you be like, wait, hold on, what are you talking about? So these are the tactics that we need to be aware of. um Black Lioness, you can go ahead.
Just a question, brother. Why do you think that is? Like, if they coming in, trying to smooth us over, what is the shift? Like, what is happening? Do you think the white supremacists are coming in and paying them, or giving them particular talking points, or threatening their lives, or whatever the case may be, because we know how down and dirty they play? Why do you think that is, where they started pivoting left, and before we know it, now we marching for some bullshit that we don't even know about?
Well, it's kind of a all of the above type thing. I will say they pivoted because that was the original intention in the beginning. They're not pivoting because along the way they changed their mind or something has threatened them. They pivoted because that's the entire agenda of why they came in the movement in the first place. When you have Black Lives Matter, their whole agenda was to pivot the direction away from the police. Their whole agenda was to do that. That's why they were talking about Black Lives Matter, and then they were crying for the people who were unfortunately murdered by race soldiers, and then they pivoted later on because they were already bought and paid for in the beginning. Now you do have people who get threatened, like for instance, William O'Neill, or even according to him, Raymond A. Wood, they get threatened. Oh, well, if I don't do this, then they're going to harm me and they're going to do this and that. Listen, most of that is an excuse. Most of those people are bought and paid for prior to even entering the movement. Now, you do have white supremacists who do their work to try to infiltrate the movement, who send their little agents in there, their little William O'Neills and their Raymond Woods. They send those people in there. So that's one part of it. Another part of it is you have people who just have their own separate agenda. You have people who, whatever agenda we're on as the grassroots, they have their own little, splinter agenda that they want. It's not necessarily white people pulling the strings. They just on their own roll wild stuff. So that's why they come into the movement, because we have a large movement, or our movement is very powerful. We can get a lot done. So they come in and they try to kind of pivot away or splinter off certain members of the movement. So it depends. I will say it depends. It's not necessarily a one size fits all every time. Most of the cases, um, I could say, as far as COINTELPRO, most of the cases, if not all the cases, were white supremacists who used black people to infiltrate the movements.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the knowledge. Because it definitely, what you just explained there, definitely coincides with history has proven and shown us. So definitely appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. For instance, and I want to give an example. Tariq, people have used Tariq to kind of piggyback off of the direction Tariq was going for, and I'm gonna use ADOS as an example. ADOS was Yvette Carnell and everything. Everything was cool with Tariq until they got their profile off up, and then they thought that, okay, well, now I can kind of splinter some of the Tariq supporters, the people who are following Tariq. Now that I have notability somewhat on par, is not as on par, but somewhat to that level, now I get to kind of splinter his audience away from him. So you have people who do that with our brother Tariq as well. And especially ADOS and Yvette Carnell and other groups of people. I need not say their names. Uh and when I say I need not say their names, you guys know who I'm talking about. But Kenny, you can go ahead.
Good evening, Afro Elite. Good evening, Black family. Thank you for having the space. One real quick thing to say, just one thing. This is perfect timing. That's it. I land my plane.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. And I wanted to have this because I want people to be aware. I put this on my Twitter. I'm also going to put this on my Instagram as well too, so it can be up there so people can kind of go back and look at what happened, like look at the tactics to review it. So anytime you guys detect anything funny, you guys will automatically know to kind of take a step back from it. Just like with Black Lives Matter. When Black Lives Matter first came out, and I'm speaking for myself personally, when Black Lives Matter first came out, I was riding with Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought that Black Lives Matter was just the hashtag that we were all getting behind. And then I started to see people say things like, oh, you can't be for Black Lives Matter unless you're for Black LGBT. I'm all like, well, I mean, that really doesn't have anything to do with what I thought this movement was about. I thought this movement was about police, and the police aren't harming anybody because they're LGBT. So why is that even a talking point? Why is that even a conversation? And then it started to be, well, what we really need is we need the black women to lead the movement, because the black men, they've been doing too much of the leading and they're really the oppressors of the movement. And I'm like, huh? Wait, what is this about now? Because you guys get your credibility off of quote unquote advocating for the deaths of young black men. All of these young black men who were killed. Tamir Rice was an example. Trayvon Martin, even though he wasn't killed by um, a race soldier necessarily, but you get your notability off of advocating for the deaths of black men, and now you're going to say that black men are the bad guys. And I'm not saying that, black women don't have a place in the movement, but black men are damn sure not the bad guys. Like, what are you guys doing? And off of that, I took a step back. I'm like, you know what? All of this Black Lives Matter stuff, I'm going to stop using that as a hashtag. I'm going to stop kind of getting behind that, because you all are going in the direction that I didn't sign up for. This wasn't why I jumped on board. I jumped on board because you guys were talking about the police. Now y'all talking about um damn trans lives matter. So that's not what I'm for. And now you know that Black Lives Matter was a fraud that was paid for by the dominant society the entire time. You got the donations that were used supposed to be advocating for black people on the ground, Black lives mattering, but they were using their donations to buy $1 million houses, mansions. And so it didn't take me long at all before I was all like, you know what, let me disassociate myself with this group, organization, whatever they want to call themselves. And unfortunately, you had too many brothers and sisters who rode with Black Lives Matter until the ship sank. They literally rode with Black Lives Matter all the way up until they got exposed for their $1 million donation frauds. And it shouldn't have taken that long. So that's why I'm using these tactics to educate the people, because it shouldn't take the ship sinking until you know, okay, this ship isn't going in the right direction. Let me get off. B1 Badass, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Afro Elite, that you can see when something's getting infiltrated, like right from the get-go, before they started to echo the whole trans life. Well, they actually always had that in their bio, but when it started off as a hashtag, when the hashtag Black Lives Matter turned into a rainbow in letters, that's when we should have knew, okay, there's something about it. When we seen Patrice Cullors with those ham hock ankles dancing, saying fuck white supremacy, let's get free, but doing the electric slide with a bunch of white people, that's not gonna get us out of this. We can't dance our way out of this shit. And we should have known better. We should have known better. I'm gonna let you go ahead and take it away.
Yo, brother, you had to do the ham hop ankles.
You know what? I'm gonna say this too. I'm gonna say this as well too. Any movement where you see a large presence of white people, that's a red flag automatically. And trust me, out here in Chicago, you got a bunch of damn white liberals out here who claim to care for Black Lives Matter, who claim to care about black people, but that's not the truth at all. Anytime, and I've been to different protests, to do my reporting, interviewing, and things of the sort. And I've seen a lot of white liberals out there in their rainbow colored shirts and whatever the case may be. And they're talking about, yeah, Black Lives Matter and gay lives matter. And, the working class matters. I did this in one of my broadcasts where I showed you guys a protest that I was there, and I showed you the speakers that they would have. You got Filipino speakers talking about, yeah, well, black and indigenous and Asian and brown and white and yellow and this and all of the colors in the rainbow and the color spectrum. We're all oppressed. It's really the 1%. That's what he blamed it on. You got other people, Black Lives Matter and Brown Lives Matter and the working class, they matter too. So you have a lot of that. And throughout the crowd, most of the people who were present were white folk. So anytime you guys go to like a rally or a protest or join an organization or whatever the case may be, and you see an abundance of white people, that's not going to be progressive to black people. Just off rip, that's a red flag. Because anything that's really tangibly progressive to black people, you're not gonna see a lot of white people there. Now, when black people are out in the streets twerking and dancing and goofing off, yeah, oh yeah, then you'll see a lot of white people. Because white people love being there with them. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, man. All right, hold on. Let me make some room. I'm gonna break dance, guys. Then yeah, you'll see a lot of white people there then. But when things are actually really happening, when moves are really being made, you won't see white people. You won't see a lot of white people or a lot of non-black people for that matter.
Brother Afra, I just got another question. So even though we know that the Black Lives Matter movement was to infiltrate us as a people, um, do you think that it also infiltrated itself, or that the white supremacist backfired agenda backfired, where now that everything has come to an end, all of the black people who were part of that movement, as far as the leaders goes, are now being the ones thrown under the bus and suffering the consequences for all that has happened, when in reality they were not the only ones who had a hand in it.
I do feel like to answer your question, it has backfired on the figureheads. And to be honest, it's backfired on the dominant society. They just don't really realize that yet. And I've said this in a few spaces before. They're on their like last straws when it comes to all of their tactics. All of their little tactics that they use against black people, that if they can succeed with them, it's definitely their last time using it. They won't be able to get away with it next time. Um, for instance, Kamala Harris. There is no way in hell black people are going to vote for Kamala Harris next time, if you can even argue that black people did the first time. Black people are not going to elect Kamala Harris. All of that sister girl ski stuff, yeah, they slid the first time. It won't happen again. Just like with Ketanji Brown Jackson, everybody's all like, "Oh my God, it's a black woman in the Supreme Court." And then when she got on stage, I don't even know what a woman is. So, the Ketanji Brown Jacksons, the Kamala Harrises, the Barack Obamas, they won't be able to get away with that next time. For instance, Barack Obama, he thought that he was going to be able to live his life as a damn black icon, and black people were going to sing his name to the end of time. The second he got out of office, black people are harassing him with questions. This dude is in hiding right now. This man was the first non-white, dare I say, black president for 2 terms, and black people can't stand him. He has more support among white people than he does among black people right now. Black people, this dude wouldn't dare run for another office. If he could, he wouldn't dare run again. His name is Dirt now. He had a damn book, and that book is trash. That book was off shelves faster than it was on shelves. So their tactics are running out. They're kind of they're desperate right now, and their desperation is really showing. So that's why it's important for us to learn from mistakes that we've made, so we can make sure we don't make that mistake again. We can make sure there won't ever be another Barack Obama again. There won't ever be another Kamala Harris again. There won't ever be another Ketanji Brown Jackson. There won't ever be another Black Lives Matter organization. We will make sure that won't ever happen again. So,
And just to piggyback off what you were saying, yes, Jason Black had a broadcast the other evening, and he pointed out something that I didn't even know. I met Obama when he was senator of Illinois, and that was way back in 2005. So, I was familiar with him. But Jason pointed out how the dominant society is how he even got in our circle.
And he did. And like I said, most of these people, they're put here by white folk. All of these people have been pre-vetted by white people. They're not allowed. People act as if, oh well, they rose up the ranks and they're there because they just work so hard. No, they didn't work hard. They're strategic agents who've been put in that position by white people. Which is why you don't hear a lot of white people trying to take them down. Now, of course, when it came to Obama, you just had some white people who just didn't like the sight of a black person in general. So of course you had them, but for the most part, and let me give you another one before we get to the hands too. And if anybody else would want to come up and speak and share their opinion and thought, you can feel free to do so. But anytime any black person that the white liberals co-sign, that's a red flag too. Because white liberals, they're just one side of the coin of white supremacy. They're one wing of the bird of white supremacy. So anybody that they co-sign, anybody that they don't have a problem with, that's a red flag. So when it comes to any black advocate at all, period, if you have the Republicans that advocate for that person, that's a red flag. If you have the Democrats that advocate for that person, that's a red flag. Whether they're white Republicans or white liberals, that's a red flag, because white liberals and white Republicans, they still want what's best for the white race in general. Don't get that confused at all. They still have the same end goal, the same agenda. So anybody that they say, oh yeah, I love their talking points. Any black person that you see getting praised on a damn magazine, that's a red flag. That's a big red flag. Be one badass, you can go ahead.
So speaking of red flags, I wanted to give a great shout out to Marcel Dixon for checking Uncle Luke, and also Mel from Secure the Tribe for checking Uncle Luke and Roland, because when white people start propping these people up out of nowhere, how the hell did Uncle Luke get any political credibility? And I also wanted to say, just think about it with Uncle Luke, by the way. Next time we get him on a space, we need to really pull up on him and talk to him about, hey, bro, you are really the one who caused this denigration in hip hop. Because all this twerking and shit, that came from the Two Live crew in the 90s with that nasty shit in the way early 90s, late 80s. All of that started from him, his non-APA mushmouth ass. So I just wanted to add that to it. White people are incentivizing Uncle Luke when he should be getting the goddamn R. Kelly treatment right now. I'll let you take it away.
I fully agree. I fully agree. Uncle Luke, not been a politician, and he comes up here and he's speaking on politics with a whole bunch of authority, and he's caping for the Democrats.
Not to cut you
That's a
off,
red
brother,
flag.
but I think it's because he feel like he won that one court case, and I don't know if it went to the Supreme Court or not, but I believe because he feel like he won that one court case about freedom of speech, and to say all the degrading and degenerate shit he be saying in his music, he feel like he has somewhat of a leadership or authority to be able to speak on the things that we're facing. So that's probably what's giving him the ammunition, like he knows what he's talking about, but he can't even concisely put together one sentence.
No, I had a conversation with him. I was in his spaces, and he asked me, well, what do we do to get rid of the coons, or something like that. And I broke it
I
down. I was
remember that
respectful and
night.
broke it down.
And you didn't even speak for 2 seconds, and before I knew it, he turned everything that you said upside down and kicked you off. So I
Exactly.
definitely remember that night.
Exactly. And he it was a straw man argument. I'm like, dude, I never said anything like that. I never even implied that. And he just went on this rant and then kicked me off. So Uncle Luke and a lot of the celebrities too are red flags. These celebrities who get into interracial relationships, a lot of them, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But these celebrities who come out, they don't say anything at all to advocate for the grievances of black people at all, period. And I don't want to hear, I'm just trying to play neutral. I don't want to hear that, because when it comes to vaccinations, they didn't try to play neutral when it comes to the vaccinations. They were out there advocating everybody got to go get the shot and get boosted. All 16 of the boosters, go get them. So they were out there doing that. When it came to Roe v. Wade, they were all like, "Oh my God, abortion! What are we gonna do now?" When it came to that, they make sure they advocate. They don't play the middleman. When it comes to voting, for Joe Biden and the Democrats. They come out there, we guys, we're all gonna die if we don't vote. If we don't vote this time, Donald Trump is gonna kill everybody. We gotta vote for Joe Biden. He was sent to us by Jesus. They come out there and they say that, so they don't play the middle ground when it comes to anything that the white liberals tell them to advocate for. Now, when it comes to black people getting shot to death by a white supremacist in Buffalo, you didn't hear them say anything. When it comes to Jalen Walker, for example, LeBron James, who comes from Akron, all he had to say was, "Oh, I prayed for my city today." But he had a lot more smoke when it came to the Roe v. Wade situation. He had a lot more smoke when it came to the Toledo, the I forgot the name of the city in Texas, the school shooting in Texas, which was bad. I'm not trying to take away from the grievance of that situation, but I'm trying to say you're advocating for other people and your people aren't being advocated for by you. So these black celebrities, for the most part, almost 100% of them have no credibility at all among the people. None whatsoever. None. And everything that they do advocate for actually winds up being our downfall, actually winds up harming us. Because when they advocate for you to get the vaccine, if you wind up getting a heart attack because you took the vaccine, which has happened, they've even admitted that this isn't a conspiracy. They've even admitted that some of their vaccines have given people blood clots and heart attacks. When you wind up getting a blood clot, heart attack, when you wind up getting pregnancy complications, you can't go to LeBron, you can't go to Oprah, you can't go to them and say anything. So when they advocate for something, they are like, okay, well, if you do it, it's at your own risk.
Very much true, brother. I have not heard not one prominent celebrity, especially being black, speak on what happened to our late brother Jalen Walker. As we see, that was cold blood, as a massacre as it could get. And also, he had so much to say today in an article that came out of TMZ about, everybody calling him out about the Brittany Griner situation, but he has yet to touch anything that's beneficial or say anything beneficial to uplift us as a people.
And you know the sad part about LeBron is, to be honest, and this is just the shameful part. LeBron is constantly being attacked any damn way. LeBron is always being slandered anyway. So you might as well, if you're going to be slandered regardless,
Right, you would think
you
he
might as
had
well
way much
speak
to
up.
say. You would think he'd have way much to say.
Exactly.
Even his son was just wrung through the mud because he went on prom with a white girl, and he didn't say anything to defend that situation, even if it was, oh, that's my son, they're just kids, let them live their life, they got to experience and let him learn for himself. He didn't even defend that. So there's no surprise that he won't defend, an unarmed 25-year-old black man who was just gunned down, shot over. I believe it was more than 60 times. If you ask me, 60 was just a number, so they didn't have to say 90.
Probably was. 60 is a very precise number. But what's interesting about the situation is the fact that black people have kind of defended LeBron more than LeBron has defended black people. If we're gonna tell the truth about it, I remember doing a video where what's the name? What's her name? Uh, from the View, the black lady from the View. What's her name?
Lonnie
Um,
Love,
no, not
Whoopi.
her. Whoopi, yeah,
Tamara.
thank you. Whoopi Goldberg, where she was trying to reprimand LeBron for saying he took the vaccine, but he's not going to try to advocate for other people taking it. And she tried to get on stage and waving her finger at him, and black people stood up. And I made a video saying, hey, LeBron shouldn't have to do that. So you've had black people defending LeBron. When that white woman, forgot her name, told LeBron to shut up and dribble, you had black people defending LeBron back then. So black people, and even now when they try to drag LeBron, and LeBron is just a proxy for black men. That's really what LeBron is. That's what they use him as, a proxy for for black men. But when they try to drag LeBron for him not advocating for Brittany Griner, we have black people out here like, hey, why should LeBron have to say anything about this situation? LeBron is not a damn activist. Why you guys making putting the pressure on LeBron and not these other celebrities for speaking up about Brittany Griner? So we've advocated for LeBron when LeBron gets slandered, and then when it comes to us being murdered in the street, LeBron is tiptoeing around and he's saying, "Oh, I just pray for the city. I pray for the city right now, not the person who died, but I'll pray for the city." So that's vague enough for me to say, "Hey, I see what happened, but my RIP in a discreet language," So when it comes for us advocating for people, we don't soft shoe around. But when it comes to LeBron, and for somebody who constantly gets attacked, this dude should be able to stand up. And for somebody who also claims to have read the autobiography of Malcolm X, you'd feel like this dude would have a lot more to say than what he says. And that's a shame. Also, too, um, when it comes to his son dating interracially, I'm gonna say this: I don't have any kids, as you guys already know, but if I was to have children, my kids aren't dating interracially. I don't care what you'll say. You can say I'm too strict of a parent. Then hey, they're not your kids, they're mine. So I can raise them how I see best to raise them. They're not dating interracial. Not in my house. Now, when they grow up and they leave the house and they are able to make whatever decisions they're able to make, then hey, okay. Um, I'm not gonna necessarily say I'll disown 100% my children for doing that, but hey, as far as the cookouts, no, don't bring your Becky here. Don't bring your Chad to the cookouts. We don't need them to be listening in on our conversations. No, we're not having that. And I don't care if you guys think I'm mean about it. I really don't care. Y'all not feeding the kids. I am. So when they in my house, if I was LeBron, hey, I know you like this little white girl for whatever reason, and I know the reason she likes you because I'm LeBron. She's going around, oh my God, guys, I got LeBron's son, guys. Yay. Like, she doesn't like him because of him. She likes him because his connection to LeBron. So I would just say no. I'm like, well, if this is the girl you're taking to the prom, you're not going. And I'm LeBron and I make the rules. Nobody gonna tell me shit. So that's how I would be about it. But we also have to be aware of the black people who like to date interracially. Just that energy, just the fact that you can trust somebody to the degree to be intimate with them, trust a non-black person to the degree that you would allow yourself to be because when you're intimate with somebody, you're vulnerable to that person. And there's no other way to put it. There's no other way to put you being intimate with another person without you kind of letting your guard down to an extent. So the fact that you feel comfortable opening yourself up and the fact that you feel comfortable being vulnerable to another race of a person to that degree shows that you're either unaware of white supremacy or you're looking past it. And either way, either which way, that's a red flag that I take serious. As far as the spokesman, I don't really care for a spokesman up there laying with a Becky or a Chad. I don't care how correct you are. The second I find out you have a non-black wife, a non-black husband, a non-black intimate partner, you lose credibility with me. And that's just my opinion of it. That's just my opinion. And I'm not gonna say you can't, still care about your people and date non-black people. But I am gonna say, as far as your advocacy goes, you are in the back of the line. Now, we don't need you as a spokesman. We need you to, sweep him off the floors when everybody's done speaking. That's what we need you to do. That's your place now. Business, you just request us to speak. Business now 24. You can unmute yourself. Business now 24. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, how y'all doing tonight?
We're good, sister. How are you?
All right, I just wanted to say that I absolutely agree with everything you just said. And let me just add this. I see a pattern of when white people get with a prominent black person, everything is all good as long as they're able to make money and do their thing. But the minute that things are not going their way, then we become the N-words. We become the N-words. What how we feel and what we think, what we've created, what we've done for the world doesn't matter doesn't matter as long as their points and their in what they've done and achieved over the years, it isn't acknowledged, and I've seen the patterns with the celebrities. I see how when it's a white agenda they need to push, they get out there and push it for the sake of having a career or having a job versus having integrity and respect for the values that they believe in. And it's a sad day in the world for that, but this is our reality. So since we know this, what can we do to move past it and just be the people that is responsible for the change?
Well, to answer that question, we're already doing that to a degree. The issue that we've had along the way is we've allowed other people to come in who weren't supposed to get in. And when they come in, they derail the movement. So by discrediting them before they even get out there to speak, we're not looking, and Jason Black had said this in a broadcast, we're not looking for LeBron James to come out there and advocate for us. Nobody is all like, man, I really want to know what LeBron has to say. We're only saying LeBron's name just to show the celebrity class how irrelevant they are to the movement and how much they don't stand up for the movement. So next time you hear LeBron, P. Diddy, any of these other celebrities talk about, guys, we got to get out there and vote because our people died for the right to vote, we're going to say, hey, you don't have any sway here. You don't have any credibility among the people. You have never stood up for the people at all. We're not listening to anything you say. As a matter of fact, we're probably going to do the very opposite of anything you tell us to do going forward. So that's the important thing that we're doing that unfortunately we've fallen victim of in the past, but we're learning from our mistakes and we're moving forward better now.
I wholeheartedly agree.
By discrediting them. Two, mind you, I'm not going to keep this space open too much longer. It's about to be 9 o'clock where I am, and I'm planning on wrapping it up around 9 o'clock. So if anybody wants to come in and throw their 2 cents in, you guys can feel free to do so. So that where I'm gonna keep this space open for about another 20 minutes. But and thank you for that question. Thank you for that question, sister. Big Joe, you can go ahead.
What's up, Afro Elite? What's up, brother?
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm Black Power, Black First. I'm all that, but I know somebody was saying about some of these punk celebrity. 80% of celebrity. I'm an old school. I've been doing this for 30 years. The celebrities are cowards. They're not going to do anything. I say 80% of them. And I believe just ban them from Black America, period. If they talk to events, shut them down. And LeBron, he a coward. I got kinfolks up there in Ohio. They say he's one of the scariest dudes up there. You feel me? But now these agents, we need to shut them down automatically, man. Like I said, another space. If it get to a point, we had to call these Negroes out, man, because they bad. And Luke, I don't even go on his space, man. He couldn't even answer simple questions. So him and Molin Martin, I believe all them agents. And something else I got to ask you too, Afro Elite. Are you familiar with Jam Master Jay? Do you believe he's some type of agent? And I'll leave it right there.
To answer your question, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And here's the reasons as to why I believe so. First off, I always tell people that, and this is the first red flag that is in my book. If you want to know my list of red flags, one of the first red flags I always look for is, where did this person come from? And why does this person have all of a sudden such credibility, such resources out of nowhere? Because, for instance, with Tariq, uh, Tariq was not always where he is now. He didn't just pop up out of nowhere. People have known about Tariq for years and years. People have known about Jason for years and years. They didn't just pop up out of the ground. And then when they started advocating, it's not like they had hundreds of thousands of people listening to them in the beginning. They had to start from the ground up and develop. So I'm always wary of somebody who just comes up out of the blue, and next thing you know, they're acting as if they can speak of authority on a black issue, and nobody knows where they're from. Even for me, for instance, people have been subscribed to, not subscribed, people have been following me. We've been following each other for years. People know where I am, and where I came from. I didn't start off with thousands of followers or whatnot, but people have seen me grow. So when somebody else pops up and they made their account 2 months ago and they say, Afro, you're a fraud, I'm like, well, where are you coming from? Who are you? So that's the first red flag. And I'm not trying to say that I'm on the level of Tariq or Jason. I'm not trying to say that. So I don't want anybody to get confused on that. I'm just, using that as an example. Two, the things he was advocating for, and this also goes into the Raymond A. Wood type, the hype man or the instigator, when he was out there like, oh yeah, we're gonna be malicious, we not fucking around, we gonna take Texas, we don't care what nobody says, we walking out here with guns. And he's one of these rah hype man type of people who get people locked up in prison. Everybody needs to come out there and they need to all register their personal information. And when they register their personal information, then we're going to go out there and then we're going to march. So that seems like, okay, well, what are you out there doing? Because you easily, it seems as if you're leading people into a trap. I don't know why people are taking you that serious, because you really came out of nowhere. It's not like Grandmaster Jay was an advocate that people have known about for years or whatnot. And it's not like he came from the bottom up. You guys didn't hear about him one day, and then the next thing you know, he's trending all over the place with a mini army.
Yeah, I know. I
How does
believe.
that happen from a grassroots point of view? How does that happen unless you were put there?
Yeah, because I was in the circles back in the 90s, like late 80s, early 90s, certain circles, with Khalid Muhammad and Malik Shabazz, Farrakhan, Dr. I was in that circle. And in like 2000, 2002, all around that area. And we trying to find out who this dude is. And nobody know from those circles. They say he ran in 06, 07 or something like that. But we trying to find out who is this guy. I think, he's 57, right? Or something like that. He's an old head, right?
Yeah, he is. He's up in age. He's an older person.
But nobody know who he is. Nobody. I've been asking people up in there. I'm really from New York, though. But I'm asking people, who is the Jam Master shit? They say he was a DJ. He was this. I'm like, who is this dude? And nobody really know who to do, because I used to ride with the Black Panthers back in the 90s. So if you went in our circle, we didn't really know you or know like that. I know what you call it said he didn't really know him. What was this Professor Griff? Professor Griff is from that era too. And we didn't know who this guy was. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't. Go ahead.
As Black people, we've always, especially Foundation Black Americans, we've always been a very closely knit people, where if you didn't know somebody, you could ask a few people and somebody knew of somebody. Nobody just walked into the neighborhood and nobody knew where that person was. Like, if you didn't know somebody, you could ask, hey, who is that? Oh, that's Tim's people in them. That's him over there, or he know him. He from that family,
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be. If you didn't know him, you could ask a question or two, and somebody who knew him will be able to advocate. But when somebody comes up out of the blue, and nobody is able
Nobody know
to
him.
back this person up. Nobody knows where this person came from. Just like a ghost just appeared out of nowhere, then that's a red flag.
Yeah, just like I ain't want to cut you off, bro, but just like what Karinga, the guy who made Kwanzaa. You remember him? The guy who created Kwanzaa?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were saying he was an agent. Ain't become, they say he was an agent. And his brothers back in the day actually saw him. It was something happened in UCLA back in the day. Brothers actually saw him jump into a police vehicle. But he came out in the 80s trying to front like he wasn't, because everybody familiar with Steve Coakley. We was calling these guys out. And we was calling these guys out. So like I said, Jam Master Jay, no, I don't know who he is. Like I said, these agents among us, they need to be called out. And I'm gonna land right here with these celebrities y'all talk about. If they come, they should be banned for every black neighborhood. They shouldn't come around us at all, because they doing a disservice. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna land right there, brother.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say I don't necessarily need everybody to be an activist, everybody to advocate and be out there in the protests or at the march or being a spokesman. But the thing is that let us know that you stand with your people, because Asian celebrities didn't have a problem letting Asians know, hey, we stood with you, even though the Asian hate propaganda is fake as hell, but we stand with you. Every religious celebrities, and I'm gonna say religious to substitute saying the name, the Jays, um, they make sure they advocate for their people. It's only when it comes to black celebrities that we are out here getting slaughtered in the streets like we're at a war. We are, but we're in the middle of a war, and they're all like, "Oh well, it's a sad day today. I just woke up sad, and that's all I got to say." So
Actually,
that's
police
the energy we get from them.
I said police ourselves. If somebody against our black agenda, just Xing them out. Like we want reparation. If anybody black against it, we can send them. We can send them a damn agent. That's how we did back in the day. And I know people that sound crazy, but if you for reparation, you're down. You're black first, right? Now, if you're not for it and you black, we don't even we shouldn't even deal with you. You feel me on that?
I feel you. Yep, I feel you. All of this entertaining people, allowing people in our midst. At this point in time, when you got young brothers, 25 years old, getting shot 60 plus times, unarmed, when you got uh white supremacists walking into grocery stores, executing black people. You got black people who are about to reach a level of zero. And the medium wealth is zero. When you have black people in the conditions that we're in, we don't need any fence riders. We don't need oh yeah, we can agree to disagree. There are certain things that we can agree to disagree on. Reparations is not one of those things. We cannot agree to disagree on reparations. If you're not for reparations, then hey, you're just in the wrong place. You just got to get out of here. I don't care what else we agree on. We can meet with that after we get our reparations, but we don't even need you to be in our circles right now, because we're actually trying to accomplish something, and you're in here sowing seeds of confusion and division. So you need to bounce.
That's right. I have them all. I bounce off any celebrity or any a lot of boule agents. If you're not for reparations for Black Americans, we don't need to deal you on no level. I do to a point. Boycott anybody who against reparation, no matter who they is. Just boycott them. Don't go to their concerts. Don't feed into none of that. When you watch their video, don't do nothing. Don't listen to their music. I get to a point, like I was telling the brother other in other space, when it comes to basketball and football, if you find out these guys who not for reparation, they play pro sports, don't go to none of their events, don't buy tickets, don't do nothing. They'll find out we mean the business. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Hey, can
You're
I
right.
just add something?
Yeah, go ahead. So we're only gonna be here for a few more minutes. So if anybody wants to come up and speak, you guys please do so now, because the second I get off, everybody wants to come up and speak. So you guys got a few minutes if you guys have something you want to add. But go ahead, sister.
But you know what? With the reparations thing, I don't think um, Black people as a whole really understand what that means. Like I try to educate as many people that I come in contact with all the time. I'm like, you have a Black man that created the first cell phone. You have Black women that's responsible for giving us the computers. You have the first Black man that designed the first car. Basically, Black people have created the majority of the things that have afforded other people wealth and success. And to think that we got to now turn around and beg you for the things that we've created for you and your families, for you guys to turn around and look at us like dogs. I can't wrap my head around that. But you know, we need more than reparations. This is our land. We want our land back. That's just what it is. You know, people all over the world. You got K-pop. They want to dance like Black people until it's time to handle a Black issue. Then you got Jennifer Lopez, um, all on the internet talking about how she didn't want these Black women to be on the cover. I forget what she was upset about. But anyway, she was upset about these Black women. It was for a magazine, I think it was. And she felt like Black women shouldn't have a $100 million piece for this particular company. And she went on a rant about it, but yet Black people support her. And it's just things that like that when Black people start to realize how much of a worth you are, instead of asking people, hey, am I worthy? I think that'll change the mindset of a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the younger generations, they don't realize how much we've built in this country. The elevators. I mean, the list can go on and on about a lot of different Black inventions that was stolen. The patents were stolen. The copyrights were stolen. And you know what I mean? So it's like, give us our just due. Other places, right now in Sri Lanka, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but right now, their president has did them so dirty that they invaded his palace. They're using his gym. They're in the swimming pool. I mean, it's hilarious, but they're doing what they have to do.
I read
We're
that.
not. We're
I read
too
that somewhere.
afraid to. Right. We're too afraid to speak up for Jalen Walker. You see what I'm saying? Because we're afraid of losing our lives over standing up for something we believe in. And I just think that, I appreciate your platform, brother. Listen, it's been a pleasure, and I'm going to leave it right there because I know other people want to get in. But that's all I wanted to say.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback on that too. We have a lot of black non-black celebrities who get boosted by Black people, like Jennifer Lopez, to an example. And I've been saying this for
Yeah.
years as I've been speaking against the Black and Brown or Black and Minority Coalition. These people, they'll coincide with Black people. They'll align themselves with Black people only, only, only for their personal benefit, for the benefit of their group. Besides that, they don't care about Black people's issues at all. If and the issue is that they want Black people to have things if they feel like they can get that on the back end. If they feel like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, let's get this and this and this, and they'll listen. If reparations was a people of color thing, you'd have Mexicans advocating for reparations, you'd have Asians advocating for reparations. They'd be all like, yes, this country is so racist and so evil and slavery is so bad, they need reparations. They need reparations if they feel like they could get some. But because we're gatekeeping beforehand, they're not saying anything. These non-Black people, they don't want Black people, specifically FBA, they don't want us to have anything that they can't get. If they can't get what we get, they would rather us not have it. Now, they don't care when they're getting something that we don't get. It's never okay, well, we're doing this, but what about Black people? It's never what about Black people on a positive end. It's you only hear that when people are saying stuff about like crime or whatnot, but on a tangible policy, reparations, anything like that, is never what about black people. Now, when it comes to them, they all are, well, what about Hispanics? What about Asians? What about Native Americans, the so-called Native Americans? What about us? I'm gonna tell you, and I used to do Uber Eats a few years ago, and this is when I think in 2020, because the pandemic first started. And what Uber Eats did is they said, and this was right after like the George Floyd uprisings and things like that. So what Uber Eats made an announcement saying, what we're going to do is we're going to take the shipping off of the black owned businesses. So any business that is black owned, if you order Uber Eats, if you order from a black owned business, you won't have to pay the shipping costs. And that was an incentive for people to, buy from black owned businesses. Most of the people who were upset about that, who voiced their complaints about that, weren't even really white people. It was the damn Hispanics. Hispanics had the biggest issue with that. They were all like, oh, well, what about the brown businesses? What about Latino? Well, they don't call themselves brown. What about the Latino businesses? Well, what about us? Why do black people get to get this? Well, why can't all minorities get this too? It was the damn Hispanics who came in and they were adding Uber Eats so much so that they took it off. They stopped it. They was like, okay, well, we don't want this smoke, so let's just stop that. So they will sabotage progression for black people if they don't get to be a part of it. If they feel like it excludes them, they don't want nobody to have it. That's how self-centered they are. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm actually glad you brought that up. Let me see. Hold on. I'm working on something. Hold on. Let me yep. Is anybody, and I'm gonna give a few more minutes in case anybody would like to come up and speak on the room. If anybody would like to come up and I ask a question or anything. Also too, somebody just there was a lot of white people. Hold on. Let me. There was a lot of white people who pretended, and when it comes to black owned businesses, every business that says it's black owned isn't actually black owned. There are black owned businesses and they'll have black employees working at the register and in the kitchen, but it's really a white owned business. But they'll say it's a black owned business. So when you guys see like black owned businesses, when you Google and you're in a new location, why don't you just do a little bit of further digging so you actually know it's a black owned business. But our brother Beatzilla is on the stage. Beatzilla, what you got for us, brother?
Oh man, black first, brother. Black first. I'm fresh out of Twitter jail. So yeah, man, shout out to Afro Elite. I just like I said, fresh out of Twitter jail. Kind of getting caught up and seeing that you had a space going. Something about the tactics of Cointelpro is basically what I just witnessed overnight about this Rage Against the Machine thing, and I guess I'm gonna have to talk on this here probably tomorrow. So what I'm noticing with the with this Rage Against the Machine pushback, we're literally talking about women, black women specifically, being disrespected and degendered. And we have all of these little fanboys coming over here, and then some black ones caping for this group, which of course we understand when you have musical groups or Hollywood movie stars, they're all pushing a certain agenda. These people don't ever represent the black community. And now all of a sudden we have people coming over trying to tell us, hey, don't mind the disrespect because they're trying to be all inclusive. That is something that we absolutely must push back from, because that inclusive line, that doesn't just start at how we are receiving people, because where that leads to is how we start trying to get people cut in on our next financial movement. which of course right now is reparations. So it's, remember, when you start hearing these type of terms, because they're trying to link women in to this certain little group. So yeah, that COINTELPRO tactic is something I just am picking up on right now. And watch these white women out here, and also these Asian women, because there's something going on, that they are literally at war against black women while using propaganda against black men. So just be very mindful of that. I kind of caught on to that, and then Twitter got me up out the paint real quick, so I wasn't able to really convey that until now. So just be mindful of that. I'm not sure of everything I missed on Twitter today, but I'm trying to catch up right now. So with that, man, I'll land my plane. Peace.
Well, thank you very much and welcome back. I guess welcome back. But in something else, and you just reminded me, and thank you for this. But when it comes to the feminist movement of COINTELPRO, that's something we also need to speak on as well too, because you'll have people, and to be honest, and I just gotta say it. I just have to say it. A lot of them are non-FBA. That's just the truth of the matter. You know, don't hit dog shouldn't holler. So if you a B1 non-FBA, you cool. But if you ain't, then there's some issue. But a lot of them come up, well, what about black women and how black women are treated in the movement? And they'll come up and they'll say things like they care about the movement. That's the Black Lives Matter tactic of COINTELPRO. Well, they come in and they mislead with misinformation. Misleading and misinformation is a part of the Black Lives Matter thing. I might even have to break this down into more steps, because you'll have the black feminists out there. Well, we care about but we care about black women, because black men, you guys are the real bad guys. If we really want to think about it, you guys are the real people who are causing the problems. It's not the white man. There was just one video of a black girl, and I quote tweeted this, of a black girl, and she was doing her hair. She had like an afro, and she was moisturizing it, or whatever she was doing, and she was making commentary, and she said, I can only pull white men with this type of hair. And somebody was all like, oh my God, and some simp ass black dude was pandering, like, why, as black men, why do we not show our women the love for their natural hair? Why do we not make them feel comfortable for wearing their natural hair? They should feel so comfortable. We got to do better. And I'm like, dude, if you don't get out of here with that, I don't know what type. First off, this is giving me the taste of Jollof. I'm getting a hint of Jollof right here, just to be honest. I don't know the damn lineage, but I'm getting a strong hint of Jollof and oxtails right now. But because in black American women, foundational women, they recognize that their hair is beautiful, and that and foundational black men see it that way. We've always seen the beauty in black hair. So if you talking about, oh, we don't see that, it's more than likely because you carry yourself like a bed wench, and you are what you attract. So you walking around as a bed wench, yeah, you're gonna turn off a lot of black men. Two, probably a lot of the damn non-FBA tethers you're working with, they don't like blackness either. Kodak Black, he was all like, I don't want a black baby, I'm too black, or I don't want to be with a dark woman because I don't want to have a black baby, I'm already black. I don't need a black baby, because a lot of that comes from the Caribbean. And this isn't, hey, I'm gonna have to go there. I'm just gonna have to go there because this is the truth. It's the truth. Because in foundation black American society, we've never gotten down with skin bleaching like that. And you guys might be able to nitpick a few celebrities who've done that, but that's always been something that's shunned among the rest of the society. That's always been something that's been looked down upon among the rest of the society. Is, as a matter of fact, black people have always been foundationals. We've always been actually advocating for getting darker. We've been I know my people from the South, they be all like, man, you need to go outside so you can get a little bit darker than what you were. So that's always kind of what we've been on. We've been advocating for the beauty of the melanin in our skin. On parts of the Caribbean, they've been coming in like, oh, I want to bleach my hair, I want to wear perms and stuff like that, and all of that stuff starts to click. Like, how did black people go from wearing afros in one decade to then perming their hair and trying to make it look white in the next decade? You have to think about all of this stuff. A lot of this black skin versus light skin, all of that beefing that didn't really exist in our society almost ever up until they started coming in. Then when they started coming in, is beefing between light skin and dark skin people. That wasn't how we ever got down. So we have to address the fact that a lot of the systemic issues that we're currently facing now, it stems from the non-FBA side. And in order to fix the problem, you have to address the problem. Now, this isn't me trying to slander everybody, because I'm not going to paint them all with a broad brush, but we have to acknowledge where the problem comes from if we're going to fix the problem. So that's why I have to say that. And a lot of the divestors, and I've been saying this for a minute, a lot of the divestors, they come in with oh, well, black men don't love us, black men don't love us. And I love white men, and white men, they so cute with their blue eyes and blonde lice infested hair. Oh my God, that just looks so handsome. So we're like, huh, that's not, foundational women don't be talking like that. That's not how FBA women talk. And then we find out, okay, yeah, you got a damn Haitian flag in your bio. So yeah, that makes sense now. It all starts to add up now. So we got to be aware of all of these things. From the damn non-black Americans to the FBI and the local police department. We got to be aware of that if we're going to move forward. B1 Badass, you can go ahead.
I just wanted to add, real foundational black American men, though, when we see a sister with natural hair, if she's wearing it correctly, you know, we tend to vibe more towards that. With foundational black Americans, we really don't like that weave janky shit. We don't really like that.
Exactly. We've foundational black American men, we've always been advocating for natural hair. You know, and to be honest, and we're just gonna have to keep it real. I don't want to pivot the conversation, but to be honest, when we advocate for it, we get told shut up. It's not and mind our business. And then later on, they say, "Oh my God, I wish black men like natural hair." We like, what? We just told you that we would prefer that, and you told us no. And now that you don't want to wear a lace front anymore, you're saying that only white men like natural hair, which couldn't be further from the damn truth. You got white men, and I had to point this out, dude. You've never heard of a case where a black man, especially a foundational black American man, has fired a black woman or not hired a black woman because she came in to the interview with her natural hair. You've never heard of that. Or fired her, put her on suspension or whatever the case, because they're wearing their natural hair. You've never heard of that. You hear that all the time when it comes to white men. White men be not even hiring black women when they come in with their natural hair. When they come in with their natural hair, we'll call you back. Don't call us, we'll call you. And they never call you back. You come in with your natural hair at work too many times, they'll pull you into the office like, yeah, we wish you could, no offense, Shaniqua, but if you could wear something a little bit more professional, I would greatly appreciate that. Thanks. That's what they've always done. So don't dare tell me how much white men love natural black hair. They've never done that. If anything, the ones who do is on a fetish. They do it because they have like some type of fetish, some kinky fetish, but it's not because they love it the way we have. Big Joe, you came back on. I feel you want to speak on the subject.
Oh yeah, like I said, black people. I'm about black power. Like old boy said, we go towards more natural women. We don't go towards no fake weed and eyes and stuff. Them coon niggas talking. So we like black, beautiful black women, and that's what I'm about though. And anything else, man, then go to hell with that. And I'm against interracial marriage. I ain't scared to say it. If you foundation American or pro-black or whatever you is, don't be scared to say you against interracial marriage. And I know it shake people, but fuck that. I'm gonna tell the truth on this damn thing, because we black people, black first. That's my point. But go ahead, Afro.
Yeah, and that, hey, I say it. I don't necessarily say it often because everybody knows my stance. I'm against it. I am against it.
Facts.
If you feel comfortable laying in bed with a non-black person, that shows me a little bit of your character, which shows me that, hey, I gotta kind of side eye you a little bit. I can't trust you with the damn code to the safe, because I don't know, because white people have a notorious history of manipulating black people when it comes to sex. So I can't trust you that far, as far as I can throw you. You know.
I ban them. I ban them. I don't like them. I'll tell you right there. I got in my family. They don't like it. I don't care. If you about black people, the first obligation, if you love your black sister, that's how the power starts. Now, if you ain't loving your black sister, you don't need to be around nobody black who's real and about this work. So that's what my thing is right there, though. Like I said, black women in this space, we love you on that right there. If old white man coming, you cuss him out. Tell him you interested in black men. And that's it right there.
Yes, sir. But I'm gonna wrap things up. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna end this space at 9:20. So that's in 5 minutes. If anybody would like to say anything within the next 5 minutes, you can feel free to come up and do so. Nikki, would you like to speak? You can unmute yourself.
Okay. I wanted to get back on the subject of this room since we are about to end. I guess I just wanted to ask if anyone else, well, you're about to end it, so I'll just ask Afro and whoever's on the stage. We're talking about COINTELPRO. We are talking about movements or other things like this being, what do you call that, taken over, infiltrated. So when you notice that those things are happening and you can't just come out and say everything you're thinking, and you see a lot of people who were onto the bullshit going over there, okay? What do? Do you go over there too and just say, oh, well, they said they got some macaroni over there and some sweet tea, so maybe I'll just go ahead and go along with it? And it may be less of you. What do? Do you just sit it out and just wait and just hope that it will get better? Or do you take a stance even if it's by yourself, is the question.
Well, since you're asking this to everybody in the room, let me be the first person to answer. I've always said you need to take a stance on what the right thing is, whether you're the only one doing it or not. You might be the only individual who's against some type of movement. You might be the only person who's speaking out on something, or who's brave enough to speak out on something, because other people oftentimes see it. They're just too cowardly to speak out on it. You might be the only one who's advocating against it or speaking for the right thing, but you need to stand on your square. You need to stand true to what the truth is, because the real ones will always stand the test of time. If you're the type of person who goes with the crowd despite the crowd being wrong, and the crowd is wrong, then I can't say you're a real one. Let's just be honest. And that's why it's important for us to kind of wait and see and piggyback before, not piggyback, wait and see and vet other people and movements before we just jump on to any one hashtag or any one group of people. Beatzilla, I think he wanted to answer the question.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for me, I just like what Afro just finished up saying, because there are some things that'll pop up real quick. And of course they could catch fire, catch wind, and catch excitement. And, it might be something there that you just ain't vibing with. As for me, when I see that, I have no problem sitting out. And if I'm the only one by myself, at the end of the day, you know what you see. So if that's how other people need to have that experience or go through it, hey, you've already done been there. I wouldn't advise you to go through it again if you already know what time it is. So it's a discernment thing on basically your own peace and the effectiveness of the situation. So I'd just say judge it accordingly. If it's something that you can totally feel comfortable walking away from or sitting down about, then shoot. If that's what the peace where the peace come in at, cool. But if you could be more helpful to the movement, then I would.
I think you broke up.
Uh-oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I was wondering if you landed.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just saying, like, if just weigh the option, depending on if it's going to be beneficial for you and the movement, or if it would just be beneficial for someone else at your detriment. So just judge it accordingly. That's all I can say, and I'll land there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Greatly appreciate that. Well, we're going to be wrapping this space up. If you guys have not followed me, I'd encourage you to do so because we have educational spaces like this very often. So you guys should be following me so you won't miss out on any other space that I host or that I co-host. Also, too, also in the Jumbotron, I have a YouTube channel where I earlier or last night I discussed tactics of COINTELPRO and the history of COINTELPRO and how it was used against the civil rights movement, against organizations and groups and people in the civil rights movement. So if you guys haven't watched that, I would encourage you guys to go there. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. Like and watch the video. I would greatly appreciate that. But until next time, I bid my people a B1 salute, a big B1 salute to all of my brothers and sisters out there. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening. I will see you all sometime later this week. You guys take care. You guys be safe.